Hey everyone, thanks for stopping in. Today I'm going to make a fall classic in my home, and that is pumpkin pierogis. Funny story, when my husband and I came to Colorado, we searched everywhere for pierogis in the grocery store and finally found them in the dessert aisle. So Colorado, step your game up. I realized that a lot of us don't have access to a full pumpkin, so go ahead and make sure you get a pumpkin puree that is in a can with no BPA. You're going to need 1 potato, a half of an onion, some vegan butter, some flour, a pinch of salt, and I like to add sage. So you're going to go ahead and combine your salt. I use Himalayan pink salt. That's just my preference. You can read about the benefits of Himalayan salt in your spare time. But you're going to go ahead and mix well with your flour. So go ahead and combine that in your mixer, or you could do this by hand, and start to add some warm water. Not hot, not cold, but warm water. I started out with an 8-ounce glass of warm water and only ended up using about 4 ounces. I, at this point, can eyeball it and see what my dough consistency needs to look like, but if you are just starting out your cooking journey, I would definitely start out with 4 ounces, and you want an elasticy texture, but you don't want a wet texture. Also, on the flip side, if you get it too dry, your dough is not going to roll out. So go ahead and make sure that is well combined, and your mixer will start forming just one ball, and that's when you know it is ready to go. So from here, you're going to want to find a glass bowl, drizzle some olive oil in there, or whatever oil you have on hand, along with a sprinkle of flour. This is where your dough will rest. So I usually let mine rest for about an hour and cover it with a damp cloth. So while you wait for your dough to rest, you're going to want to dice your half of an onion and throw in some vegan butter. You're going to want to saute that with a little bit of garlic powder. And in the meantime, you're going to want to peel and chop your potato and set it in boiling water for about 15 minutes. Once everything is all cooked, go ahead and add your potato, a half of your can of pumpkin puree, your onion, your sage, and a little bit of vegan butter or regular butter, whatever your preference is. I'm going to go ahead and mix mine together first. I'm going to add some pepper and salt as well, and I'm going to use a potato masher to mash this until it is well combined. It really depends on what kind of consistency you want in your pierogis, but traditionally a Polish pierogi has a smooth texture on the inside. I'm going to go ahead and add some vegan cheese just because I had some. You can add whatever type of cheese you'd like. I've also seen ricotta added to this as well, but yeah, I just like vegan cheese. I use the Daiya brand. I use specifically their cutting board line. I don't like any other Daiya vegan cheese, but you can find that in most sections at the grocery store. I've also tried So Delicious cheddar, and that is pretty delicious as well. It's made from coconut meat, so you may be hesitant to try it, but you definitely should. I put that on pizza usually as well, but yeah, so I'm going to combine everything together. And from here, my dough is ready, so I'm going to flour my surface and start to roll it out. It doesn't rise, it just kind of sits and combines. I usually store mine in like a dark, warm area, but it's up to you. It's fine just to sit on the countertop. And you could use a glass for this. You could roll it out with your hand, but I prefer a wooden rolling pin. So go ahead and start to roll yours out. You could also use this dough for pizza. I don't know why I keep bringing up pizza. It must be a craving on my mind right now. But go ahead and roll it out until it is pretty thin. I will show you here the consistency that you want, but you should be able to start flipping it back and forth. And go ahead and keep rolling it out. You will see that the consistency should be that you can see your hand underneath it. You can make out the lines in your hand. That's just what I was taught, but like I said, it's up to you. So go ahead and find either the top of a mason jar. You could find a cookie cutter if you wanted, but usually I just flour a glass, and that's how I get my circle shapes for the pierogis. This recipe makes 24, and you will be able to cut out 12 at a time, so save the rest and do the batch next. You're going to need your filling pretty close to you, as well as a plate with some flour on it. You're going to need a little cookie scoop, and if you don't have one, just use a teaspoon. So you're going to make sure each dough circle has a scoop of your filling inside of it. Do not overstuff these pierogis, or you will have a disaster in your boiling water, which is the next step coming up. And you're going to want to make sure each pierogi has a scoop of filling in it. And then it's time for the fun part. So don't be afraid of your pierogi, just pick it up. You're going to want to stretch your dough over top of your potato filling and start pinching the outside. So make sure your hands aren't damp or have any moisture on them. You can even dip them in flour and start pinching the outside. I personally like to flip mine over and do the other side just for safe measure, but you don't have to. That's just me being extra. And I let them rest. In the meantime, you're going to want to boil a pot of salted water, and make sure that gets to a roaring boil before you dip your pierogis into them. I've seen people pinch these pierogis in so many decorative ways. I just like the classic way to make these. I was always afraid to make pierogis because I didn't think I could do them. And these are truly so simple. And I have faith that you can do it too. All right, so I have my 12 pierogis here. I'm gonna go ahead and saute some bell pepper. Generally I do white onion, but I thought the sweetness from the bell pepper would really complement the pumpkin. I add a little bit of olive oil to my water, so when I do put the pierogis into my boiling water, they don't stick together. And I'm gonna boil 6 at a time. And you just want to drop them in slowly so you don't get splashed. And I take one quick stir just to make sure they're not sticking to the bottom. And you will know these pierogis are done when they start to float to the top. So that's the fun thing about pierogis, they tell you when they're ready. And then from here, I like to put about a teaspoon of vegan butter into my saute pan with my peppers. And I saute them about 3 minutes on each side on a medium heat so they brown. You can definitely serve them out of the boil. I just prefer that crispness. It depends on how you like your pierogis. So my husband likes them with sour cream. I like them with applesauce. But yeah, it's a fall staple in our household, and I really hope you enjoyed this recipe. If you want to see more vegan recipes like this, please give this a like. And if you're not already, please subscribe. I make 3 videos every week, and I would love to have you part of the family. Thanks. Bye.